and thank you all to our audience out there on Shorts TV, who are going to be joining us across all of our platforms. Just a quick introduction as to who Shorts TV is. We're a British company based in London. We run 7 television networks that show only short movies. We're the only dedicated short movie channel out there that's on. We're in the UK, Spain, and Italy. We're all across the Netherlands and Serbia. And in the United States on DirecTV, we have a Spanish version, TV Cortos, which in addition to being in Spain, is available all across Latin America. And Shorts TV India is in at least 500,000 homes in India. So it's we have a fairly sizable audience, and every year we bring to audiences across the United States and the world, but especially the United States, the Oscar-nominated short films. We release all 15 nominated short films, 5 in each category: live action, animation, and documentary. We've done it for the last 17 years. We create a movie out of the films and sell them across the United States as a theatrical ticket. Now, hopefully in the future, we'll be able to do all kinds of digital releases. We're really, as distributors, as people whose job is bringing short movies to audiences across the country, across the world, and helping filmmakers who have great ideas for movie projects, short movie projects, helping them figure out how to survive, how to eat, and how to take their projects that they've started and make them into bigger projects and more exciting projects, and really follow their talent. So we're, as you know, for the last 20 years, we've been committed to the amazing talent that we see in short films. We've committed to our audiences who love them. We see our job as bringing those two folks together. So this panel is our first step into this, a bigger step for us of bringing short filmmakers and talent that are using shorts as a platform and helping them raise funding, get their projects on the road to bigger audiences. And so here today we have an interesting panel of some of the leading folks in this space, people who are developing. I would say every single person here on this panel is a pioneer. They're in the process of developing technology that will allow funding technology primarily, and platforms that allow enhanced distribution, that give creators more ability to create their projects, to figure out who they want to see them, to monetize their projects, and also to bring them to the attention of audiences without having to be reliant on big studios, big TV companies to do that. So let me just introduce our panel quickly. We have Miguel Faus, who has launched the first the first film funded by NFTs. Is that right? And about to launch the first feature film that will be funded by NFTs, which is quite amazing. We have Jordan Bain, who is the head of the Film Squad, founded the Film Squad, runs the Film Squad, is always on with the Film Squad. And I have to say this as just a personal point. There is no time during the day or night that you can wake up and not click on your Twitter Spaces phone and find a panel with Jordan on it. There is no time. I've never found a time that Jordan is not on a panel when I've been awake. And then finally we have Mihai Krasnow, who founded Beam, which is an amazing platform and gives creators the ability to start in this Web3 environment, to start working directly with audiences in all kinds of ways. So I think we're gonna, and lastly, we couldn't get Gabriel Shipton here live, so he and I got up this morning He's in New Zealand. We got up at 6 something this morning and filmed a little interview that we're going to play at the end. But I think if we could each take just a minute, and Jordan, we'll start with you, just to describe your project, a little of your background, but 1 minute on just you and what you are and kind of how you fit in this NFT space.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jordan Bain. One thing that wasn't mentioned that I do want to say that I love is that Shorts acquired my film, The Sea Is All I Know, so it's actually a part of their catalog. Yes. And so it's a real honor to be here and speak with you guys. Very quickly, The Sea Is All I Know pretty much launched me into an Oscar campaign and a very exciting time. And then I discovered that, well, I might not have the same path as some of my colleagues, so there were a lot of gatekeepers. So when the NFT thing came around, you know what I'm talking about. When the NFT thing came around, I'd already been in crypto. It made a lot of sense to me. I went all in, which means you find me on Twitter and Discord. And I founded the NFT Film Squad in February 2021, and have been pretty much hustling this every day, 24/7, because I felt like that this was really a revolution. The NFT Film Squad's core ethos is community. Have been about onboarding filmmakers to this incredible new vertical, which we've named Film3. And what else? I minted. One of the things I did was do a case study, and I minted a short film on Zora. We'll talk about that in a little bit, because I think that's a really important point to discuss with you guys. And that's pretty much it. I mean, we are scaling really, really fast, and you know, these guys are a part of the squad, and you are lucky to have these guys here today too. And so I'm psyched to be here with them.
Thank you very much. Miguel?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, and thank you, everyone. I'm Miguel Faus. I'm a screenwriter, director, turned producer out of circumstances, I guess. I made a short film called Calladita 3 years ago that did pretty well in festivals. It premiered at Palm Springs Short Fest and a lot of festivals internationally, and then was acquired by HBO in the US for distribution. And for a bit over 2 years, I've been working on turning that into my first feature film. But as Jordan found that gatekeeping is very, very real in the industry, and that it was very hard to get this project off the ground via the traditional ways. And so I started a fundraising campaign with NFTs. So I created a collection of NFTs from my short film in order to fundraise the feature. And this has been going on for a couple months, and so far we've raised a bit over $650,000, and we're gonna shoot the movie in September. So it's the first European movie that is ever funded by NFTs.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so we're very excited, and yeah, as Jordan said, the Film3 revolution is real, so.
It's great. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Mihai. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Beam. I spent the last 20 years in media distribution. So with licensing, I built a bunch of streaming platforms around the world. So I know quite well the entire value chain from almost production, but especially from production till the last bit, which is consumption and users. And for 20 years, I found that the system is very broken. There's so many middlemen and especially gatekeepers in the middle that prevent the two ends to meet together, which is the creators and the audience. And I started in crypto in 2013, so obviously all that allowed me to understand what crypto can change. So crypto is just a name, but actually it's a technology that enables many things. And what it enables, it's communities. And Web3, it's about communities. It's about putting, transforming anonymous audiences into actual active communities and putting the community and the creator in the center of the equation. So I started Beam with my co-founder, Cyprien, about 4 years ago. We launched in end of 2020. Beam is essentially a set of tools. I don't want to call it a platform because it's not. It's not a place where people go. It's a place where Jordan, Miguel,
Our filmmakers.
your
I hope,
filmmakers, content distributors can set up their own store, which we call it actually a platform, because you then become your own platform, and you can manage your own content, you can distribute your content, set your prices or territories, but more than that, it allows you to engage with the audience, with live events, with live screenings, with the film, and people on camera live at the same time, and the audience in the chat. You can bring people from the audience on stage. You can pause, you can jump to any scene. You can use it with your normal login, but if you're in crypto, you can use it with your wallet, which allows you to use tokens, NFTs, token-gated events, accept donations or tips to fund projects. Everything can be recorded, replayed, and redistributed, but also restreamed at the same time on all social media, so it can reach out all your audience. So it's literally a way for filmmakers and everybody in the industry and creators in general to be there, to be at the center and own their IP, their rights, their content, their relationship with their audience, and even their storage, and monetize that in the way they want without asking permission to anyone and without being frightened because at some point YouTube will take you down, or because Netflix doesn't pay you for what they should pay you because you have been successful.
So, so Donald Trump might want to know about your thing for his.
I mean, it's probably not.
I'm just.
It's probably. It's. I mean, it's. Trust me, it's a great question that we're asking ourselves. How do we deal with those things that we
are challenging?
They're challenging. At the same time, it's a set of tools. So literally, it's community managed and community based. So if the community decides that something is not okay, they're able to take them down and vote on it. And,
right.
Yeah.
And so, so we have 3 different types of projects. The last speaker is going to be at the end, is Gabriel Shipton, as I mentioned, and he's going to talk about a different structure of a project. They had a cause, his brother, half-brother, who was stuck in prison, and so they created a DAO to raise funds and then use that DAO to fund the NFT that was for Julian's, to get Julian out of prison, to pay his legal costs and that kind of thing. How, so I think maybe the first question should be something of a dummy's guide, right? I'm kind of a dummy. So if you guys just tried to explain to me and to our audience briefly, what are the options? What's the different types of technology? What could filmmakers do, right? What is an NFT? How does that work? What is a token, really? And
we're here all morning, yeah.
but just kind of if we could just each of you take a second and describe some of the elements so that we can all understand what we're talking about.
Sure. I can start. I can start with the basic. So I assume people know what the blockchain is.
Yeah.
You know.
I think we'll assume everybody knows the blockchains. Everybody got the blockchain idea? Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the blockchain is a big decentralized database, and assets in a blockchain are called tokens. And a token can be fungible, which would be like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum or any kind of currency, just like a euro or a dollar. But then you can also have non-fungible tokens, which essentially is any kind of asset that is not a currency on a blockchain is really an NFT already. And that's the same as in the real economy. Dollars are fungible because it doesn't matter if I have a dollar and he has a dollar, they're both the same. We can exchange them and they're fine. But most things in real life are non-fungible. My t-shirt is non-fungible because it's unique to me, and I don't want to change it with you, right, or whatever. And so
And so so does each NFT have to be a unique piece of artwork or something?
no, not necessarily, but as a token, no, as a token, it's unique. The unique part is the token. So on the blockchain, you can tell that token apart from any other token because they have a unique ID, like a
But
license plate.
But wouldn't Ethereum be a token, if you will?
Yeah, ETH, the currency that runs on the Ethereum blockchain, is a token, but it's a fungible token because it's a currency. But then on the blockchain of Ethereum, you can mint different tokens that can be both fungible because you can create your own currency, but you can also mint non-fungible tokens, which are NFTs, and those can have different kinds of media attached to them, like a photo or a video or a song or many different kinds of files, and that's what kind of represents the token. So in essence, how it's been used mostly for art is as a kind of digital certification of a digital piece of art. So if you have a picture, for example, on your phone that you took and you mint it as an NFT, then that's like a timestamp that kind of certifies that you are the one who on this date, at this time, minted this on the Ethereum blockchain and created this NFT, and that's unique, and so you own it and you can sell it or...
And only that, with that particular asset exists. It's the only one of that kind.
Yes, exactly. It's, yeah.
With that timestamp, for instance.
Exactly. That's the key. It's the only one with that token ID and that timestamp. Like someone could steal your photo and then mint a different NFT, but the original is yours because we can go to the blockchain and we can see who was the one who created and when, etc.
I see.
It
Great.
creates provenance.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, and Jordan, do you want to add something to that? Just kind of in our dummies, blockchain for dummies.
I mean,
and NFT?
blockchain, no, I think Miguel really covered that. I mean, I see sort of the blockchain as like a highway, and the tokens are on the highway.
And so you just let me ask about usage, and Mihai, you can help too because your platform does this. You can use you can create a non-fungible token that's just a very unique piece of art, right? Or something.
I'm going to jump in on this because, yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and it can be art.
Before you jump on that, let me
you know where I'm
give
going.
it another spin to what an NFT is
Yes.
and what the blockchain is. Nobody cares, right? Do you care how the internet works? You don't. You want to send your emails, click on a button, watch a video. So, don't get us started.
The important part is digital ownership.
Bottom line, right? So essentially, before internet, how you would explain a web page or an app to someone? How? That's a hard thing to do. Yeah. So what is it for? Well, I can do that by fax, send a catalog. It works, right? Yeah. And then a web page is not a PDF. It's much more than that. So what is an NFT and what's a blockchain? It's just technical ideas that you can keep hours and hours digging into. But the main concepts are, number one, no one owns the token but you. That's number one. Two, you don't rely on any server, on any central authority. There's no Amazon, there's no Google. The blockchain is distributed among hundreds of thousands of computers. You can run your own node, it's called a node, on your laptop at home, and you're part of the Ethereum blockchain. That is not too hard to do it, it's super simple. You're part of securing the system. Nobody can take that down. There's no central database. The database is distributed, right? That's what's called a distributed ledger. That's the blockchain. So everything that's stored in there, there's no hotline you can call by saying, oh, I forgot my password. You hold the keys, you're the only owner of that. So that means you're completely independent, you're sovereign, nobody can take you down, and essentially it's permissionless. That's important. Now, NFTs, what are they? They are programmable objects that can do a bunch of things because you can program anything online, right? but because they are part of that global connected ledger to which anyone and everyone has access to, but only you have the keys to your own things, okay, it means that they are composable among each other. It means that you can transfer them. It means that you can resell them. And it means that they can also evolve if they have been programmed for that. They can contain metadata that could be a film, a picture, a name, a contract, right? A licensing contract that could be hidden or not, that can point to other places on the internet, that could be also decentralized storage that no one can take down, and so on. So what it means is suddenly you can encapsulate on an NFT everything your mind can imagine. That's the challenge. We're just starting to imagine what this can be. It's the very beginning.
And in terms of imagination for filmmakers, just to sketch out what it's been used for so far, we've come up with, we've had some people who have, and I'm just trying to show the breadth of their usage. Some people who have released scripts as an NFT and sold 5 limited copies of a script or 2 limited copies. We've had people who have released artwork. We've had people who have created NFTs like Miguel, and maybe you should talk about this, what you're using NFTs to do in your project, and and the structure and how people interact. But we have all these different ways of using NFTs as tokens to watch the film after it's finished. So can
Yeah, there can be many different usages because the main idea is that it's the internet plus digital ownership. So that changes everything because you can do many things and it makes the internet work much more similar to the real economy in the real world. But yeah, for example, in Calladita, I had the short film, which is 15 minutes, and I created a collection of 2,400 unique NFTs. And we are selling those, and all the funds that we get from selling the NFTs go to fund the feature film. And essentially, it works similar to a Kickstarter campaign for a traditional crowdfunding. There are different tiers because there are different levels of utility that the backers get for their contribution, but also the artwork is different. So like in the most basic tier, which is around right now, I mean, it's volatile, but right now it's around $300 equivalent. Those are stills from the short film. There are 2,300 unique stills. And those people, for example, get access to the film before anyone else and get access to a community in the Discord where we share the behind-the-scenes process with them. But then the highest tiers, which there are only 5 of those, and they're sold out, they used to be $20,000, and those get a producer credit, can come to the set to enjoy the filming, and things like that, and those are videos. So like they're like 1-minute videos depicting an entire shot of the short film. So yeah, for funding, it's a great use case because it's much better than Kickstarter, where it was backers were very aware that their contribution was only purely a donation, and they never stood any chance to gain anything from it more than just seeing that the filmmaker gets to make their film. But in our case, because there's a digital asset that you get from your contribution, the NFT, and that's instantly tradable and sellable on the open market. So it's kind of something that represents your investment in the film. And if the film is very successful, the NFT might go up in value in the future. So you have something that you own that represents your stake in the film, if you will.
and Mihail,
I would love to jump in on this.
Yes, please.
And give you a really broad understanding. So one of the things that we see developing here is not just the funding model. There's a minting model. There's the distribution model that is happening. So there's a lot of different ways. So let's talk about funding really quickly. What Miguel's doing is extraordinary. Julie Pacino did it with Keepers of the End. She was the actual first feature film to be funded fully with NFTs. She used, I can't remember, 2,000
3,065, something like that.
Photographs. She went and took photographs of a pre-production, and then she brought them and put them on the blockchain and sold them. This has fully funded her film. She has utility for all of these, right? Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, there's the imagination, the innovation of the filmmakers is incredible. So that's one case study. You can find that online. You can find Keepers. You can find Calladita. You can see Flinch. They're getting ready. They're a franchise. They've already made their feature film. They're using their feature film. They're building community. They're going to drop 10,000 PFP. PFP is a profile picture. Thank you.
Avatar.
Avatar. And each of those avatars is going to be able to create, is a character that going to create in the franchise. So the community not only has an ownership and decision making, but there's a whole franchise coming through Flinch. Now then you've got minting, because I want to keep this really short. You can mint your short films. Now we saw people minting scenes and things like that, and this is not really about funding as much as this is about treating short film like a fine art piece. So imagine you go to Christie's and you buy a fine art, a one of one, you still own the IP, like if you're the creator, but you now have a collector. And that's what I did as a case study with Red Flags. So I knew the limitations of the platforms, because there are a lot for filmmakers. I decided to make something that worked within those limitations. So I knew that I needed to keep it under 3 minutes, because if I shoot 4K and then I have to compress it down under 500 megabytes, then I don't want to lose that cinematic experience. And how am I going to do that? Well, I've got to work within those limitations. These limitations have been blown away now by Manifold. Manifold is a smart contract that you can do yourself. Again, I'm kind of throwing a bunch of alpha at you. But here's the important thing that I want to say. I got a collector that very night. So not only did Red Flags get minted on Zora, and it's there and available for you to go watch. So it's streaming. It's got distribution already. It's there. But I also have a collector, and I still own the IP. But I have a partner who sees it as a historic piece of art. It's in her vault. She's a legend herself, so I can kind of flex about that too. And these are kind of these little important things that you can do. And then we've got distribution. So the whole distribution model, which is where Mihai really shines with what they're doing with Beam, is, again, another incredible a way to, for us to revolutionize the things that we're doing. But I literally could talk to you about 100 projects and how innovative and how uniquely they're using an NFT strategy.
And let me just try a crossover question really to you, Mihai. As I told you earlier, I came from investment banking originally. And there is nothing that investors like more, whether they're investing in a short film or a feature or a web series, they like the underlying potential for capital value increase, but they also like the idea of a dividend. And how is it that people are using NFTs in some ways to create dividends, some kind of return to the investor?
So creating dividends with NFTs is super simple technically. Okay, so it means, but the word technically is important because there's another component that I'm coming to in a second. So technically it's super simple. Anyone who owns, let's say, an NFT from Miguel's film, we're happy owners of a couple of those NFTs. Miguel could say, well, you will have a percentage from the proceeds of my film coming back to you through the NFT. And we don't have to care about that because it goes through the blockchain of the smart contracts. We don't have to audit, we don't have to trace, everything is done on-chain, how it's called, so it's automatic. As soon as there's money coming in for his film, then the smart contract splits the revenues and the profits among all the token holders with percentages and so on. So from a purely investment perspective, it's just incredible how it can be done, right? Because those things grow in value. Now, you're an investment banker. Good. This is called a security in pretty much every country on the planet. Now, every country treats securities in a different way. SEC could be very, very tough on that. So to hold securities, you need to be an accredited investor. Other countries are more or less stringent, but the point is that be incredibly careful. I cannot emphasize that more.
So that was
when you do your NFTs, check if they're not considered as securities. Why?
so that was my next question.
Yeah.
Which is, how do you create a non-security security so that we're giving
Yeah.
value
You-
that isn't a security?
Miguel's got this one.
Yeah, you don't give them direct access to the revenues of the film, basically, because you can't. Otherwise, we would have to regulate it as a security, and these guys couldn't buy the NFTs, or like only certain people could buy the NFTs who are accredited investors and all of that. But there are ways to kind of the blockchain also allows good ways to distribute the value without directly sending Mihai his dollars for the film. For example, in our case, we're setting up a DAO, the Calladita DAO, which will collectively own...
Decentralized autonomous organization,
Yeah, sorry.
which is another concept that's made possible by the blockchain.
Yeah, but the best way to understand it is like it's a decentralized film studio that will arise from the proceeds of Calladita. So 50% of the revenue of Calladita will go into this community-owned wallet on the blockchain that will be owned proportionately by all of the token holders who have bought the NFTs and made the film possible. And then they will all have a proportionate governance power, so they can vote on what we do with that treasury. Hopefully, they continue to be film lovers and want to support future films, and we all vote collectively and decide which films we wanna back, and all of those decisions.
I see. And it's the shares are allocated. The voting shares are allocated strictly on economic ownership. Is that right?
Yes, but yeah, it's important that they are only voting shares. They're not really ownership, because if they were, that would also be a security.
Be a security.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, great. Sorry to go into securities, but it's kind of an interesting, very interesting place.
We when we have these spaces all the time on Twitter, we very much always say, you're not investors, do not use the word investors, because you have to protect your community. And we don't know what the SEC is going to
Look at.
look at in 5 years.
Right.
In 5 years.
We know they will.
Yeah, we know that they will.
But
So-
you don't know if they will look at your project specifically,
Yeah.
but if
They're coming.
they will come. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, there's also great ways in which many NFT projects have returned incredible value to their holders without ever
Right.
stepping into securities or giving them any direct revenue share of their separate business.
Right.
Just by doing things that make the NFTs go up
More valuable.
without promising that.
Right. So
Because
it's,
the thing it's important to understand, an NFT, whatever it encapsulates, you can resell it at any point in time. That's the beauty of it, and it's global. So any marketplace on the blockchain, literally on the internet, can allow you to resell your NFT, and then the people who buy it to resell it again. And at each resale, you can add a royalty that goes back to, well, the owner,
Whoever.
but to anyone you want. It could be to percentage to the owner, to the community, to this and this and that.
Right.
And that's programmed inside the NFT.
fantastic. And just to switch slightly, because I think this brings us to where we are today, and that is the entire economy, the stock market, the crypto market is on a bumpy ride. There are a lot of things going on in the economy, larger economy, that affect perceptions of the crypto market. I think it's important to address just briefly what if we think that this is a correction, if this is a change, or if this is just part of the way things go.
This is crypto.
Okay, so tell us.
This is crypto. I mean, when it drops 40%, I don't even sweat it, because I've been on this ride, and I know that historically it's gone up.
Right.
So it does this like that, just like the stock market.
Okay.
You can't stop the technological revolution that is coming from Web3. So the specific JPEGs that you buy as NFTs might go up or down. You might question whether the current market is in a bubble. And the currencies that are used now to to exchange them might go up or down. I have no idea. But the technology, it's a huge shift that there's no stopping it, because for 20 years we've had an internet that had no way of enforcing ownership, and that's led to the monopolies that we have today of essentially glorified intermediaries who just are basically just there in the middle. They're just middlemen that help, that connect creators with audiences and take 90% plus of the pie. And so that's not sustainable, and that's what the blockchain can change technically, and it's just a matter of time that the internet shifts completely to this new era.
Right.
Yeah, and I would add the fact that Web3 is born with monetization inside, which wasn't the case of internet. You know, running a website, sending an email. I mean, the people who develop the protocols, they never made any money. It's just open protocols that are there, and nobody's paying for using that. You just pay your internet provider, who's just a company that sits on top of that, who's just monetizing it, or paying, you know, a service that's a centralized company. Because Web3 is born with tokens, and because people just agree, it's just an agreement that those tokens have a value, but it's the same agreement that we have around the US dollar. Where is it said that US dollar should be at that value since 73, I think? It's 77, no, 73.
The 1970 is when Nixon took away the gold
So
standard.
the gold standard, yes. So why is a dollar the price of a dollar? Well, because that's the way it is. And enough people, powerful enough, agree on that. So why is Bitcoin going up and down? And well, it's because it's a global agreement. Because it's much more easier to trade and more fungible.
And because it's only narrowly distributed. You know, that part of the volatility is just because there aren't that many owners. So 10 of them sell,
Yes.
and it makes a big difference.
Completely. I mean, if you look at Bitcoin, maybe 5-6 years ago, the volatility was even bigger. Now it's much smaller, right? And the price is bigger. So if you look, I mean, if you look at the projection, you know, there's only 21 million Bitcoins in existence.
Yeah, well,
that will be in
as a
existence.
banker, I would say, with the growth of Bitcoin, it you know, as it grows and it's starting to really grow, it takes out lots of the volatility, lots of this kind of crazy up and down.
But the thing is, you don't have to care about price. You shouldn't care about price. I mean, unless you're a trader, unless you want to do that, which you can do, you don't have to think about price if you do film, if you do NFTs, it's correlated. But
I don't think about price, but I do think if you fund your film in Ethereum, then and you get a big chunk of money, and this takes us to another really interesting conversation this week: is stablecoins.
Right.
You know, you do want to bring it over to a stable coin because you don't want
That up
you're
and
like,
down.
oh, I just funded for 800,000. Oh, boom, it's
And
only
it's
worth
worth
400,000.
100,000 or
Yeah,
Yeah, that's very
exactly.
important. I wanted to share some numbers because yesterday a crypto report that was very important for the industry came out, and I think it's important. It's about creator platforms, and it says the estimated creator revenues in 2021. For example, in total, in Spotify, it was 7 billion, but that's distributed amongst 11 million artists. So the average per artist is $636. The average per artist in NFTs in 2021 is $174,000. And in YouTube, it's $2.47. And in Facebook, it's $0.10 per user.
So NFTs, your point is NFTs are so much fairer and get so much more return directly back to the creators.
Yeah, because basically, essentially, they're doing similar things. They're just connecting audiences with creators, which was Mihai was saying. Right. So if you're a creator and you're uploading on YouTube, your audience is watching that for free, but that's generating a lot of business because Google is the biggest company in the world. But all of that business is going directly to Google and not to you.
We have spent as a company, this is a slight detour, but we've spent a lot of time trying to understand how money is made on YouTube. we've put lots of films on YouTube. We get lots of views, trying to figure out what the numbers are and how much money is being generated, because there is our estimates, at least for short films, and lots of the catalogs that we know of and track on YouTube are making something like 5% of the revenue, attributable revenue to the film.
Yeah, and
It's just a crazy overhang.
in the biggest marketplace for NFTs, which is OpenSea, which is kind of like the Amazon of NFTs, if you will, the share that they take is 2.5%. That's the platform fee. So 97.5% goes to the creator.
Right.
And that's only on the primary market. Then every time your NFT gets resold, you're still getting a royalty share, like Mihai was saying, which you can decide what that is. Can be anywhere from 5 to 20%.
I'd love to add to this into a conversation we had earlier, which is there's a musician, his name is Domino, and you wouldn't know him. And on Spotify, if he had put his stuff on Spotify, he would have made pennies. He ended up creating an album, and he did a rollout over 4 weeks of his NFT strategy, included some music videos and tracks and the full album. He pulled in, just on the first sale of completing the NFT, $180,000. $180,000 to pennies. So to your point earlier, how you want to bring this to your short filmmakers. I'm a short filmmaker that made a film that was an Oscar contender, and then did not make films for a long time because I refused to not be able to pay my crew. I refused to compromise my vision. We want a sustainable living. You want your short filmmakers to be able to make short films.
Yes, and we started the company 20 years ago, and my dream the entire time has been to have filmmakers make film after film and eat. It's a pretty small dream, and we're slowly. I feel like what's the guy with the boulder? The Greek mythology, Sisyphus. Yes, and it just keeps rolling back down. But we're kind of getting it slowly up the hill. But so we're very excited about NFTs.
This technology is going to change everything.
Yes, we're.
Because also it's weird because people always talk about how film is dying, whatever content is, people only want to be on TikTok, etc. The new generations. But I'm like, people still watch a lot of audiovisual content.
Yes.
Of all forms, and even more than ever now with streaming, and everyone's at home on the couch watching Netflix. So content creation is still very important and very profitable. The problem is that 95% of that revenue is going to the platform. So if we change that, then
and more of it, or not more of it, but there's for individual influencers on TikTok and YouTube. Sometimes there's more revenue going to them for their content because they're creating a volume of content rather than quality that takes time. Making
Because they have to feed an algorithm.
they feed the algorithm.
And they don't have a choice. I mean, their boss is the algorithm. And the algorithm, nobody explains how it works. You can be taken down by the algorithm, demonetized. You just send you just got an email from YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's
Then you ask back and nobody answers.
That's a very important point. Like the girl that had Metaverse on Instagram. So someone had Metaverse on Instagram, and when Facebook changed their name to Meta and started saying that they wanted to get into the Metaverse, they just closed her account. That username was gone for her because it's not owned by her, because there's no ownership in the traditional internet. Yeah, exactly. They just deplatform you.
But that's exactly the thing. You feel that, oh my God, I have my channel, I have my audience, I have my content. Nothing belongs to you. Web3 is about ownership, so nothing belongs to you. They belong to that company, and you sign the terms and conditions that you probably didn't read that say that they can do whatever they want. So I want to add something which is super important. To filmmakers, right? They do incredible films. You can watch them, they're incredible, right? They write, they direct, they produce, they finance. You know how hard this is. But you heard them talking about technical concepts, economical concepts, distribution, community, etc., etc. I want to point out something that's essential, is that for too many years, the industry in general put creators in a box where we told them, don't worry, just create, we take care of the rest. Oh, legal stuff, oh, you don't want to deal with that. Oh, finance is complex. We deal with that. Oh, distribution, oh my God, that's insane. Focus on creating, right? That enslaved most of the creators who now have two choices. They either say, I'm done with that. I'm still a creator, but I want to understand how my world works. Otherwise, I keep being a slave of someone else. Or, you still wait for someone to, you work for the man, whatever man, usually a white man, right? So, well, the one who's climbing the stairs, just meters away, the same. Yeah. Um, oh,
So,
and sorry.
before you get in trouble, Mihai, and we're all going to go sign up.
I'm
for Revolution.
Web3 and I'm permissionless. I don't care.
It's fantastic. So,
Oh, sorry. You all have that thing, right?
the
No,
badge.
no.
And what does yours say? That was on your.
So mine is saying, mais c'est qui ce Thierry Frémaux d'abord? But first of all, who's that Thierry Frémaux guy? Well, he's the president of the festival, right? Funny enough. Well, first of all, I'm happy to have his badge on me. What, right? And I know who he is. He's the guy on the poster up there, right?
Oh, you're kidding? Is he on the? Is that him on the poster?
Young, I guess.
No, it's Jim
No,
Carrey.
it's not.
No?
I think it's an actor.
Oh, it's an actor. Oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
A French actor. It should have been a Romanian actor.
It's a white man.
There you
That's
go.
just the whole point.
He's just a white man, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
Who didn't get the memo?
we're running out of time, and we could do this, and our audiences on TV, I think, would love this for another 3 hours. But
That's not a short film.
we could make a series. But we're going to quickly show a clip or show our interview this morning with Gabriel. It's a slightly different project, and I apologize. It was very early. I was very unawake, so my questions were a little not quite there. But is someone able to play that for us? Okay, we'll do that, and then we'll have questions.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Shipton. I'm an independent film producer and also on the advisory council of Assange DAO. Assange DAO was the largest DAO, one of the largest DAO raises in history. It raised around 17,000 Ethereum that went towards, the legal defense and freedom of Julian Assange, and it was unique in a way that it had over 10,000 contributors, so it has a very large, super huge community, all focused on this one philanthropic activity, which is the freedom of Julian Assange and what that means to people in terms of their free speech and their rights and journalistic freedom and things like that. Assange DAO bid on an NFT project, so there was a gold ribbon NFT project between creator Puck and Julian Assange that we produced over eight or 12 months. And Assange DAO really raised funds to bid on that NFT project. And all the funds from that NFT have gone to a German charity that specifically funds the defense and the freedom of Julian Assange.
Gabriel, you've had a lot of experience in a couple of areas in raising funding through crypto and certainly in filming. Could you just give us, in terms of an NFT, just give us maybe a quick dummies guide to film NFTs? What's a film NFT from your perspective? What's it to be used for? And how is one successful in raising a film NFT?
With our film Ithaca, which is about my father's fight to free Julian Assange, it's a
Right.
documentary feature film. We sort of struggle these days with getting people into theaters. People are always, watching things at home, streaming things, binging things, all those sort of, that's how people are consuming content these days. So there's no longer this sort of what we miss, especially with a documentary that has a political message and that we hope to achieve a political impact, is what we miss by people watching things online is that community experience, that community
Right.
aspect of film, of watching a film. More and more people are living their lives online these days, and I think you can see that through the success
Right.
of crypto and NFT. What people used to go and buy, high-end art, and now they're buying, NFTs sort of to display to their friends and have as
Right.
status symbols and other things like that. So with an NFT, we thought, okay, well, how do we make a direct connection to our audience, and how do we make an online viewing experience and make an online community around a film? And for us, with Ithaca, we started to explore the NFTs. We'd already produced the film and funded the
Right.
film, so we were thinking more in the lines like, how do we connect the audience, the online audience, around our film and have and achieve our sort of impact goals, which is motivating people to do something, to fight for billions freedom, or to talk about it with their friends and things like that. So really, I think that that's how I sort of came to NFTs and films, not as more of a funding thing, but more as a way to connect people online through, say, an NFT ticketing system that has sort of added bits into it, like sort of a gamification with Easter eggs and different things that are all connected to the NFT ticket that bring the community together around a digital viewing.
And just let me ask to be clear, the size of your community was how big for this project? How big is the community today?
Well, I think that's one of the we know that Julian's our audience
Free?
for this film for Ithaca is mostly online. Like that
Right.
there's a very very big audience online, people who don't go to the cinema. So we're trying to go after those people. In Assange DAO, which was the DAO at the beginning of this year, there's a community of 10,000 10,000 people participated so that's 10,000 individual participants in Assange DAO that contributed, anywhere between, some people contributed, 0.1 ETH, and some contributed 666 ETH. So
Wow.
there is like this sort of powerful community out there that they're all intelligent, they're all cashed up,
Right.
and they want to participate in things that they believe in. So I think really, if you have a documentary or a film that is an issue-based film, there's a very, very strong audience out there, or strong community that wants to get in. They want to get in on the action. They want to participate. We use Juicebox, which is quite, if you juicebox.money, they're Ethereum-based DAO fundraising platform. And so we were able to use their platform to raise the $54 million. And everything is quite explanatory, self-explanatory, and very helpful, the Juicebox people. So I can recommend them, Fundraiser DAO.
Right.
That is a good first stop.
Well, I think you make a very interesting point, and one of them is that it was a group of like-minded people, that they got behind a very big project. Julian's imprisonment here in London, or in London, was something that caught the attention of most people who care about free speech. And just tell us a little bit about your dad's film Ithaca and how that played into bringing awareness to the project.
Obviously, it's everyone knows how difficult it is to get a film off the ground these days.
Yes.
I recommend to people, don't choose choose a project that you're passionate about, because you need to have that personal connection to the project, because otherwise, every time you hear no, you need that fire inside to keep you going. So I recommend to people to choose something that they're passionate about, something that they really is a personal film to them, because that's what keeps you going, or keeps me going when
Right.
the doors were closed. Ithaca is, it's a personal story. It's a father's fight for his son,
Right.
and that's the sort of big door that we're bringing people in through. It doesn't really matter what you think about Julian Assange. We want people to connect emotionally with, who wouldn't fight to free their son from prison. I think that's how we've sort of connected with audiences. Don't really expect an emotional journey, and that's what the film really delivers, is this family emotional journey you see very much behind the scenes. Yeah, that's how audiences are connecting with Ithaca.
You all produced the film Ithaca before you raised the capital. Really, the film was the vehicle to bring audiences in, to get them to learn more deeply the story of Julian, and then raise the capital to help free Julian. Would that be a fair way of?
No, so the film is sort of almost a separate project in a way. So
Okay.
yeah, so the film sort of sits on its own. We did raise from the crypto world for the film,
Yes.
but we did that separately,
I see.
and we just did that with direct. We did not have an NFT structure for that, so we just
Right.
sort of did that the old school way with some direct. Direct investment. I think with the DAO, it was really, putting together. I was the sort of go-between between the creator Puck, who produced the NFT. It's actually the second highest selling NFT of all time,
Yes.
the Julian and Puck collaboration. So I think, it's a lot of my skills as a producer came into play there, and producing, putting that together, and also making sure that went ahead and went to plan. I think, I was able to draw on a lot of my skills that I learned during, producing films over the years, working with creative people.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely drew on my skills as a producer to sort of facilitate the NFT.
What do you see, just if you were to summarize, must-dos for success, pitfalls filmmakers should avoid?
The things that are essential to be successful is, like I said earlier, you really choose a project that that you have real passion, a real fire for, something that is personal for you.
Right.
In terms of NFTs, I mean, there's so much material on there. Twitter is a great resource.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise on there, but following the right people and getting, finding out where the communities are and participating in those communities, I think is really a good first step. Downloading Discord, jumping in some Discord servers, particularly DAO Discord servers, I think are very,
Right.
very useful to see. If you're interested in getting into DAOs and using a DAO as a fundraising model, I would recommend jumping into some DAO Discords, checking out their governance, how they work. That's very, very, very important to get all those pieces right before you get going, because it's much harder to fix them later on.
How has the recent change in crypto markets affected the community? But has it had any effect, and what do you see as the future?
The recent change in the crypto markets, I mean, I don't think it will. I believe that crypto and particularly these big ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum,
Yes.
they're here to stay. They're not
Yeah.
going anywhere. One of the most important things about these cryptocurrencies is that, particularly Bitcoin and Ethereum, that they're censorship resistant. So I think that's a very important point to make. Especially in this world where, we have all these gatekeepers in our industry who are, telling audiences what they should watch, or putting particular spin on everything like that. Using crypto or using Bitcoin or Ethereum to raise for your project will really give you a lot more freedom. And I think people will find that projects that they couldn't have success with through a studio system or a broadcast system, that they will find success, fundraising from the crypto world, because there isn't that layer of self-censorship or corporate censorship that exists in the traditional studio system.
And thank you all for being here. Does anybody have any questions? I think yes, please.
Thank you. Yeah, and you were talking about you needed to keep it really, really tiny, but if you've already produced and made a short, is there a way to then create the NFT? Because none of my cast were paid, nobody was paid, and it would be great to turn that around and actually give something back.
Yes, the great news is after I minted Red Flags, one of our members, actually my post-production supervisor, minted his entire feature film on Rarible, which is a platform, 8 gigs, because he used the manifold contract. So and this gets a little technical, but once it's okay. You'll get it. You get it. It's not as hard as it sounds. It's like Greek right now, but you eventually get it. 8 gigs. 8 gigs. I had to keep it at under 500 megabytes, and we did it. He did it beautifully. He's the one that compressed it for me. You can do that. The big thing that you need all of you need to understand is that if you want a collector, whether you're doing a one-of-one or Jason Charnick, who did his feature film, he did a bunch of editions at a very low price. My one-of-one, I can't remember what it sold for, three and a half?
Yeah, like 10K at the time.
Yeah, 10K at the time, right? Because I chose a one-of-one. He chose a lower price point, more editions, but he also has community. So you want to, that's the important thing. The Web3 ethos, the Film3 ethos is about community. It's really, you just heard him speak about it. You've heard us speak about it. We're a community. We work very, very closely together. So it's totally doable, and you can get people really excited about it. And yeah, so 28 minutes, or you can fractionalize it in a way that Luis did. Filmfrico is his Twitter handle. We call him Filmfrico. He took his short film and he made it into 3 chapters, and then he sold the chapters.
But the thing is, right now you can very easily store anything you want in a decentralized way for not so much money. You can store actually any amount of data on decentralized platforms like IPFS or Arweave. You'll hear those names. Difference is that IPFS, basically you pay monthly to keep the content there. Arweave, you pay once, but your content is there in theory forever. I mean, they can kind of say that it's 200 years at least, but that's a great thing to know. And it's not so much. I mean, for 50 gig, I think you pay like $500 or $1,000, but it's there forever. And it's, so the actual files are there. Doesn't mean anyone can access them. You have the keys. Then you decide who can access those files. Anyone or just you or...
And some of, if I could just add, one of the other things that you can do, and that I think this is something that we've been looking at, is casts and crew are always the most overlooked groups of people. And you can mint and set aside part of your mint for them so that they have a way to make, should they have something to sell, something that they can monetize that is a unique part of the film that they worked on. I think there are lots of ways to work with your team to create value for them so that they aren't just, so that we don't all live with people that you meet and you go, and they go, oh, I love that film, and I didn't make any money. I actually had some big bills out of it. And, and there's a way to have given them some value without necessarily taking on big loans or indebting yourself.
And because you finished the film already, my advice also is if you plan to do another film, start building your community from the moment you have an idea. Community, it doesn't mean you have to have 1 million followers somewhere. I mean, if you do, it's better, of course. If you don't, we all as human beings have a community, and you as a filmmaker, you have to have a community anyway, right? You have your friends, your producers, or the actors you're working with. I mean, that's the beginning of your community. They can reach out to other filmmakers and so on to start engaging them in the idea, the script, the casting, the locations, the costume design, the music, and you grow and grow and grow your community. And actually, along the way, you can start. Maybe I can release a first series of NFTs that don't represent anything because my film is not ready, but it's a way to show your, well, token of support, right, to the film and give you some utility. So what's the utility we talk about? That's a word you'll hear a lot. So what do I get in exchange of that NFT besides me supporting you? So Kickstarter stops there. I support you, I get a t-shirt, amazing. But here you can say, no, because you hold the NFT, and you might want, if you have time, talk about how you think about your tiers and what kind of access you give to the different tiers during the production of the film, or their creative input if you want to, or their help. I mean, I'm not a filmmaker, but I'm in awe for filmmakers for my life, right? And I just want to be a little fly on the wall to see you guys doing your film at every step. I'm happy to pay for that. Allow me to do it, and I'm happy. And if you need help, I can help. Just ask me. So I'm here. I'm part of, but nobody taps into that right now. Tokens and NFTs allow you to tap into that, right?
I'm just going to say one of the first tokens, NFTs, that was gifted to me last March was a utility token. It was a floppy disk. I didn't know what. Okay, you're giving me a floppy disk, and now it's in my OpenSea wallet, and what? It was so much fun. It gave me access to so many things. He airdropped, he just gave me, it was like Christmas every day. It was like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna get today? And imagine if you're a filmmaker and you offer some sort of utility token to your community, and then you just keep surprising and delighting them with gifts along the way. That's where Kickstarter, you got your t-shirt, amazing. But this way it's like, ooh, it's Christmas again, and maybe each time that you do that, your utility token goes up in value. Maybe they don't want to play the game anymore. They turn around, they sell their token. So, and it's gone up in value, then they make money. Right. Everybody's happy. This is a win-win situation. You make money, they make money. It's a circular economy, and I love it.
Exactly. It's great.
By the way, anyone can get their first NFT today for free from me.
Oh yes.
I
was first.
Yeah, she minted.
I was first.
These NFTs called POAPs, and they are a proof of attendance protocol. So they are special for events and things like that. So I have one for Cannes that just says that you met me at Cannes, and that you, so like it's a little NFT that you get from that.
Fantastic.
Do it.
So
do it.
So see Miguel afterwards. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Rhoda Wilson. I'm a producer. And obviously, you've made the movie, and now you have to create an NFT from the movie. Your cast and crew have already signed a contract with you. Do you have to now have a new contract to let them know that the project is going to be on NFT? So I'm not quite clear about the process.
I would advise to check with them or make sure what your contract says specifically, especially for the actors, about what rights they gave and for what uses.
The Screen Actors Guild, I just gave them big middle finger.
Oh, okay.
I paid my actors though, and I signed. I did the contract with the guild, and it was a short film, right? So that's. But I paid them instead of deferring their pay. And but yes, I mean there's definitely, I think, a contract. You need to check with the guilds. The Screen Actors Guild is a dinosaur, and we're not going to get that ship turned in this direction for a long time. But I don't know about the UK, and I don't know about, you know, Spain and all the rest.
In general, I think, yeah, it's important to make sure that you have the rights to do it, and that's one of the reasons why existing IP, Hollywood films and all that is not yet releasing many NFTs. There's been very few projects, you know, and you would think, why is that? But the reason is because the line of contracts is crazy, and the IP is owned by so many different entities that it's not as easy as Paramount's gonna release the Godfather NFTs. It's like a whole
But if I could just suggest, and Mihai's project is something that wouldn't require necessarily additional contracts, and that is doing some kind of digital release or digital distribution. You've already signed for sure those rights, and so selling tokens, doing a special screening online, those kind of things would definitely be in line. It's when you give away someone's image, for instance, someone else's, one of your actors' faces, if that there arise issues, I think.
Yeah, I think you can craft your NFTs in the way you want, and you don't have to go as far as involving actors and so on. So it could be just some kind of access to whatever you think could be good for a community or for the viewers, but still benefit from the entire ecosystem and, you know, screen and engage with the community.
So we're, for instance, we're starting, for our short filmmakers, we're starting a Discord server and going to be hosting events for producers like yourself to come and tell about your projects and explain and start giving them distribution, in a sense, platform so people know about your project. And we think that will help you as you go, as folks like you go forward and release NFTs around your projects. We're trying to give that point for you to raise awareness so that you can build a community.
Thank you. Can I ask one last question?
Yes, ma'am.
What is NFT strategy, and how do you set one up?
An NFT strategy?
Yes, you just made.
So it's your imagination.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sure. An NFT strategy. So a year ago, I'm telling you, if you brought up the word NFT in any Hollywood, they would shut the door on you. Now they want to know exactly what your NFT strategy is. That's how quickly it moves. But they shut the door on you because they couldn't figure out how they were going to monetize it and hold the power. Now they're kind of figuring it out. But strategy, my NFT strategy was a one-of-one for this case study short film. But let's say my NFT strategy for my feature film, I'm trying to figure it out, because what do I want? I want to bring my community value, not just the value of the art. I want them to feel so proud to have bought the NFT, whatever tier that is, whatever utility they get, reward or whatever you want to call it, like what Miguel's done. He's got several tiers. And when Miguel showed up on the scene, I was like, this is a filmmaker who's got a brilliant and innovative way, and really brilliant. I mean, he's used artist collaborations, he's done, I'm going to let him talk about it, but I have seen hundreds at this point of incredible NFT strategies by filmmakers.
And actually, I would say, consider NFTs as being one additional layer of your film. You think about photography, about music, about costume design, about all those things. Well, NFTs is another creative element. All of these things have technical components, but don't get distracted by those. It has to be creative and connective between those who make the film and those who watch the film.
Thank you very much. We are getting lots of waved hands, and it means that our time's about up. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Great panel.
Hey, can we say one last thing? If you're interested, the NFT Film Squad, which we are all a part of, we have a Discord, we have a Twitter. Don't be shy. We do spaces on Twitter 4 times a week. Come in, ask your questions. You know, everyone here is accessible. Thank you.